Hello. For today's assignment, I'm going to be talking about leadership buzzwords and how they fit together and how I use buzzwords for myself. So, to start off, how I always think of leaders and how I've had experience with them, there's two kinds. I know there's different types, but there's always two overarching types, classifications for me that fit personalities. There's always a verbal leader or someone that leads by example. And they both have different characteristics that lead to buzzwords and lead by different styles. So for me, there's always a verbal leader, and they're the ones who are motivating their peers and colleagues. They're inspiring them. They're creative. They're thinking of new ways to get their colleagues and peers to work more efficiently, to better themselves, to help the company, the team, wherever they're working. They're the ones the rah-rahs that are gonna 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, staff meetings. They're the ones coming in and getting everyone fired up, waking everyone up so that they can get to work. The other type of leader is a lead by example. This is someone I've always fit in. When I played sports, I was never the one giving the speeches and pumping people up. I'd be the one that would go out and play, and when I spoke, people listened. Some buzzwords that I find with those leaders are people who are just consistent. They have their certain routines, they're helpful, and they're punctual. They set both of them together, both types set the overall role and example that everyone else should follow. But of course, there's the two different types of buzzwords. The verbal leader is the one that's going to get everyone pumped up. The lead by example is the one who's always consistent. They might not be the one getting everyone waking up everyone. They might be coming in with coffee every morning, but they're the ones that say they worked at an office. They're the ones that are going to constantly get the top results, the top sales. They know the routines and they know how to help and benefit the company. And some buzzwords and qualities that I've always admired are being punctual. I think being on time is the biggest thing. I know there's tons of things that affect people's lives, but getting there on time and starting your job early is one thing. Another buzzword I have of mine is accountability. Always fess up to when you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but it takes a lot to accept your mistakes and be able to say, that's my fault. I made a mistake. I misinterpreted this. I did this. Instead of throwing other people under the bus, or I didn't know that. You never told me this. Not wanting to take the blame for something you clearly messed up or made a mistake. So accountability, punctuality, and then people who are, I guess, brave or courageous, ones who step up for their colleagues and protect them. A leader in the education field is a union rep. A union rep is a bridge to administration and the teachers, and they have to go about and banter and go through grievances, take what they hear from the teachers and administration and kind of find solutions. When teachers are going through tough times like student behaviors and all that, they go to the union rep, and the union rep is supposed to have their backs. They step up and say, hey, this is happening in this school. We need to take this and go to the administration. They speak up for those who aren't as brave and courageous to say those things, so they stick up for people. So I think being able to stick up and make your points in front of a crowd is important. Sticking up to your boss, administration, when you feel like something's wrong, you want to stand up for what you believe in and what's right. Accountability and punctual. Those are three buzzwords that I find important and that I use in my everyday life. I'm still trying to get better at sticking up for what's right. I usually just talk to the people, but I'm not great at saying those things in a big crowd, as I'm only a third-year educator. But it's something that I think as time goes on, I'll be able to stick up more for myself and my peers when something goes wrong. So what I decided to do on top of that, after I came up with my buzzwords and what's important for me, is that I went online and searched buzzwords in leadership to see if they match up. And I was a little surprised that some of mine didn't match up that I thought were common. One article I looked at was by The Muse, and it was 34 words and phrases that scream I'm a leader on a resume. And this is a resume for anything. And a lot of them I found were just adjectives. It's all about describing yourself and most of them were the same, and it separated it into different columns. Where if you want to be a trailblazer, someone who is getting things started, an initiative, kind of like that verbal rah rah leader, it said things such as transformed, piloted, pioneered. You're something that's beginning, you know how to start something, you can start right off the ground. There were ones for coaching, people who are good at mentoring others, which I think is very important. My transition from athletic training to teaching went smoothly because my mentor from my school helped me out so much. He told me all the ins and outs I needed to know. So being able to mentor and uplift others when they're down and notice those things are very important to me. And it goes with the sticking up for others. You help out when you can and when you need because you want everything to run perfectly. Another article that I found was by Balanced Careers, and it was important, again, important leaderships and skills that you should have. But this one was more about empathy and being able to listen and understand, seeing the bigger picture and how one action might affect others and the bigger total effect. You might think, oh, we need to implement this to help this one problem, but fixing that one problem might create five others that have to do with other problems that are going on. But just being able to listen and diffuse situations, conflict resolution are all important skills that I think leaders need to have because there's always issues that you're going to have, whether it's staff fighting, whether it's certain projects, deadlines, due dates. There's all these issues that always pop up. So being able to effectively resolve conflicts, and mediate, negotiate, and work together are important. Then for the last article, I thought I'd search specifically for education since that's my field. And first started off saying, okay, what are some leadership positions in education? Being a principal, an administrator, a coordinator, a department head, chairperson. And so I went through thinking, okay, are they going to be words that describe them or the position they're looking for? And I found it did more of describing the position. So if you're already in the education field and you're trying to move on, it seems that people don't want to know what about you. They want to know what you can do to benefit the school. And those buzzwords were all different. It had to do with, okay, how can you be good at class scheduling? What about adaptability to constant time changes, class changes? Can you budget manage? Can you manage a small staff, a big staff? Can you manage a whole department? What about all the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools, the whole district? And those buzzwords are really interesting to me because I never thought about that. And I've put some of these on my resumes, not thinking about it, like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, not thinking it's that important. Like, it's good to know, but not something that people really look at. But policy and procedures, being able to write mission statements, just being able to write these are important buzzwords in the education community. And they are pretty transferable. It's not just education. People do data analysis, write policies and procedures and implementation plans in all fields. And I think those are good skills that leaders need to have, not just the adjectives that describe them, but then taking all of that makes them so great and putting it into work to do something that actually benefits the school, the students, or whatever that job may be. So those are my buzzwords. And oh yeah, the article for that last one was A Teacher's Career Edge. All these were written in the past 3 years, and these articles were actually pretty eye-opening. I never realized a lot of these buzzwords had so much meaning to them, and some of the articles that I looked at that didn't use wrote about how bosses look for certain buzzwords and then the skills that go with it to see if they match up. And I didn't think some of these words, I thought they were just pretty standard. You put them on a resume and you're good. But I didn't see how much these words carry meaning. And I'm going to make sure I use the skills I already have and in the future take those adjectives that I know that I have and try and translate them more into skills and actions that effectively work better. Thank you.